when autumn came to Florence. Florence, Italy, the city of art, history, and poetry. For Emma Carter, it was supposed to be just a temporary escape. After a painful breakup and years of routine in London, she decided to spend 6 months in Florence teaching English and finding inspiration to write again. Every morning, Emma would walk past the Arno River, her notebook tucked under her arm, searching for stories hidden in the cobblestone streets and golden sunrises. But she never expected the most beautiful story to be her own. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when she first met Luca Romano, a local painter with ink-stained fingers and eyes the color of stormy skies. She had stumbled into his small studio while escaping a sudden rain. The scent of turpentine and old books filled the air, and the walls were lined with unfinished canvases that whispered fragments of untold dreams. "You're wet," he said with a soft smile, offering her a towel. "Would you like some coffee?" Emma hesitated, but something about him, the calm in his voice, the kindness in his expression, made her nod. That afternoon turned into hours of talking about art, dreams, and the melancholy of autumn. Emma returned the next day, and the next. Soon, visiting Luca's studio became the highlight of her days. He painted as she read poetry aloud. She wrote while he told her stories about his childhood and his mother's garden full of sunflowers. Their love bloomed gently, like leaves turning gold. It was never rushed, never loud. Just a soft unfolding of two hearts finding rhythm in silence. One evening, while walking along the Ponte Vecchio, Luca took her hand and whispered, "Do you ever wonder if we were always meant to find each other, like brush strokes that complete a painting?" Emma smiled, feeling warmth rise to her cheeks. "I think we were simply two people waiting for autumn." Days became weeks, and Florence slowly dressed in the colors of fall. They danced in the rain, kissed beneath the fading vines, and shared secrets only the night could hold. Emma wrote her first poem in years, a love letter disguised as a story about a girl who found color in a painter's world. But as winter approached, the question of goodbye hung in the air like the last leaf refusing to fall. "I have to go back to London in December," she said one day, her voice trembling. "My visa." "I know," Luca replied quietly. "But love doesn't belong to one city. If it's real, it follows you." On her last night in Florence, Luca gave her a canvas, not of her portrait, but of the two of them sitting by the river, laughing. "So you won't forget what it felt like," he said. She kissed him, tears falling like the Florentine rain that brought them together. Back in London, Emma published a book titled When Autumn Came to Florence. On the first page, she wrote, "To the man who showed me how to fall in love again, one sunset, one brushstroke, one quiet smile at a time." A year later, at a book signing in Florence, a familiar voice said, "I hear the painter in your book is quite handsome." She looked up, and there he was. Luca. This time, there were no goodbyes. Only beginnings. Beneath the paper lanterns. In a quiet town nestled between misty mountains and winding rivers, there lived a young woman named Lynn, who worked as a calligrapher. Every morning, she opened the doors of her small shop on Lantern Street, where she painted words of hope, love, and poetry for passers-by. Her shop was filled with the scent of ink and cherry blossoms, and at night, soft golden lanterns swayed in the breeze outside her window. Lynn lived a gentle life, peaceful, though sometimes lonely. She had once believed in grand love stories, the kind she used to read in books beneath her grandmother's apricot tree, but as the years passed, those dreams faded like ink in the rain. One autumn evening, just as the lanterns began to glow, a stranger walked into her shop. His name was Elias, a travel photographer from Europe, with tired eyes and a quiet smile. He was searching for something, though he didn't know what. Perhaps a photograph. Perhaps peace. Perhaps someone. He asked Lynn to paint a single word, remember. Curious, she tilted her head. "What is it you wish to remember?" "My mother," he replied. She loved lanterns, and stories, just like this place. Lynn painted the word with graceful strokes, and as he watched, something stirred within him. He returned the next day. And the day after. Each time, asking for a different word, hope, silence, belonging. In brushstrokes, they began to talk. About art. About grief. About the places they had been and the ones they still longed for. Lynn showed Elias the hidden corners of her town, the old temple gardens, the bamboo bridge over the lotus pond, the hills where fireflies danced in early summer. He, in turn, showed her the world through his camera, portraits of children in Morocco, the lonely roads of Iceland, the quiet snowfalls of Prague. Days became weeks. Elias extended his stay. He said it was for the light, for the way the lanterns glowed in the mist. But they both knew it was for something else. One evening, as the Mid-Autumn Festival arrived, the town was aglow with color. Children ran through the streets holding star-shaped lanterns. Lynn and Elias stood beneath the moonlit sky, their hands barely touching. She handed him a lantern. On it, she had painted the word, "Stay." He looked at it for a long moment. "Is this what you want?" he whispered. Lynn didn't answer. Instead, she reached for his hand. And in the soft silence of that moment, amidst the laughter and music and floating lights, he kissed her, gently, like turning a page of an old storybook. That night, they didn't speak of the future. But when morning came, Elias didn't pack his bags. He stayed. Years later, travelers still came to Lynn's shop to have words painted for them, but now, the walls were also lined with photographs, of lanterns, of lovers under falling petals, of a woman painting with ink while a man watched her from behind the lens with quiet devotion. And if you ask Lynn what love means, she might smile and say, it's like a lantern, soft, warm, and always finding its way home. The Stars Between Us. Chapter 1, A Letter from the Past. In the quiet coastal town of Whitestone Bay, Alara Bennett spent her evenings working at her small bookshop, the Inked Lighthouse. Nestled between two cliffs and always bathed in golden light at sunset, the shop had belonged to her grandmother, and now it was her sanctuary. One rainy afternoon, while sorting through old books in the attic, Alara stumbled upon a sealed envelope hidden inside a dusty leather-bound journal. The letter was dated August 5, 1975, and signed, "To the one I never forgot, Mel." The word stirred something inside her, something unexplainably familiar. She turned the envelope over and realized the handwriting was nearly identical to her late grandmother's. Curiosity turned into obsession. The letter spoke of a summer romance, a war, and a promise to meet again beneath the old sycamore tree by the sea. Chapter 2, The Man with the Camera. A week later, while Alara was closing the shop, a man walked in. Soaked from the storm, tall with salt and pepper hair, and a vintage Leica camera around his neck. "Sorry to barge in. I was taking photos of the coast and got caught in the rain," he said with a warm smile. "I'm Leo." Something about him, his voice, his eyes, his presence, felt like a story half remembered. Alara offered him tea and a towel, and before long, they were sitting by the fireplace, talking like old friends. He was a travel photographer, visiting Whitestone for a gallery project. He'd been to countless countries, but this place, he admitted, felt different. "It's strange," he said, gazing into the fire. "It feels like I've been waiting to come here all my life." Chapter 3, Beneath the Sycamore Tree. Over the next weeks, Leo and Alara grew close. They explored hidden trails, talked until sunrise, and shared pieces of themselves they hadn't revealed to anyone before. One evening, Alara showed him the letter. Leo held it in his hands for a long time. Then he looked at her with an unreadable expression. "My father's name was Lucien," he said softly. "He used to tell me about a woman he met here when he was young. Her name was Rose." Alara's heart skipped. Rose was her grandmother's name. Together, they visited the sycamore tree from the letter. It stood just as described, on the edge of the cliff, still strong, still waiting. Beneath it, they found something neither expected, a second letter, buried in a rusted box, sealed in wax. This one was addressed, "To Leo, if you ever return." The letter, written by Lucien, was a confession of love, a farewell, and a hope that someday, their families would find each other. It ended with, "Maybe, love is not always meant to be lived in one lifetime." Chapter 4, A Love Rewritten. Alara and Leo stood there, the sun setting behind them, the sea whispering below. They realized that fate had brought them here, not just for the past, but for the future. They weren't just children of an unfinished love story. They were the continuation of it. As months turned into seasons, Leo stayed. He helped Alara restore the bookshop, and together, they turned the attic into a photo gallery dedicated to the love stories found in letters, books, and lost memories. And every year, on August 5th, they walked to the sycamore tree, hand in hand, hearts full, and thanked the stars for aligning not just once, but twice. Because sometimes, love waits. Even across generations.